Okay, I want to call the April 28th, 2021 meeting of the Lake Quinsigamond Commission to order. And pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, GLC 30A18, and the governor's March 15th, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Lake Quinsigamond Commission will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. All meetings and hearings listed in the agenda will be done so through remote participation. Specific information and the general guidelines for remote participation by members of the town's by members of the public and or parties with the right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the town's website at www.shrewsburyma.gov/coronavirus. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to listen should dial 1-240-883-7480 and enter the following PIN 545-841-253#. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event we are unable to do so, despite our best efforts, we will post on the town's website an audio and video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. There will be a monthly meeting of the Lake Quinsigamond Commission on Wednesday, April 28, 2001 at 7 p.m., which time and place the commission will consider the agenda. So I'm going to call the meeting to order, which we already did. I'm going to do a roll call to see who is here in the meeting. Just give me 1 second here. Trustee list. Mr. Pica.
Present.
All right.
Present, Mr. Chair.
Okay, I just wanted to see if you could do the *6 thing. Officer Amato or someone from the Shrewsbury Police Department. Anyone here from Shrewsbury PD? Okay. Captain DeAndre?
Yeah.
Mr. Polito?
Yeah.
Mr. Nickerson?
Present.
Ms. Amory? Okay. Ms. Labossiere?
Here.
And Mr. Nelson?
Present.
All right, great. Item number 2 is review and act on acceptance of minutes for the March 2021 meeting, which we don't have minutes in front of us, so I'm assuming no one saw those. And move down to the next item, item 3, review and approval of bills and expenses. What do we got, Angela?
Okay, so the expenses for the past month have been a check to the Town of Boylston Conservation Commission for $750 for the peer review. An ad in the Telegram and Gazette, $50.78. That was for the lake refilling ad. Postage paid to the town of Shrewsbury, $161.16 on April 14th for the dock renewals. And then we did receive $1,200 from the QRA for their spring permits.
Okay, is that it?
That's it.
Is there any questions, discussion regarding the bills and expenses? Okay, there being none that I can see, I will accept the motion to approve the bills and expenses.
Make a motion, we approve bills and expenses as noted.
All right,
I'll
thank
second
you.
the motion.
Okay, perfect. Thanks much. All those in favor, I'm going to go. Collins, I vote yes. Mr. Pica?
Aye.
I don't know if someone came in from Shrewsbury PD or someone here from. No.
Not yet.
Okay.
Yes.
Captain DeAndre?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Polito,
Yes.
Mr. Nickerson,
Yes.
Miss Amory. Oh, she's here. Yeah. Mr. Lassiere,
Yes.
Mr. Nelson. See your eyebrows raising up, Bill.
Yes.
Yes? Perfect. All right, so voted. Okay, so we're moving on to item number 4, update the lake management plan. And first we'll start off with the Newton Pond permitting. I attended 2 Conservation Commission meetings since our last, sorry. I think I actually attended 3 conservation meetings since our last meeting here, 2 in Boylston and 1 in Shrewsbury. Shrewsbury's was earlier in the month, and they were kind enough to close the hearing and approve our plan for the treatments at Newton Pond. So that's good news. In Boylston's, the second meeting I went to, Boylston's was again continued. They had just gotten the funds for the that we sent over for the peer review, so that did not arrive in time for them to make a decision and do all the stuff they needed to do. So that's, I guess that's something we have to wait on. Their next meeting, I believe, is May 16th, and we will go at that point, and hopefully they'll have whatever it is that they want to add on there, if anything, and hopefully we can get the meeting to close and move on. I would like to do that treatment as close to the end of May into early June as possible, to be the most effective at Flint Pond, considering the kind of treatment we're going to use over there, which is sonar, and that'll be the best time to do it. Hopefully that'll work out. Boylston did not have an objection if we wanted to move forward treat on the Shrewsbury side of Newton Pond. So they said that they would be comfortable with that if we chose to do that, and that they would hopefully be able to catch up after they got through their process. So that's good news. I prefer not to basically muster up 2 efforts to go in there to put the boat in the pond twice. So hopefully it'll all work out. So we'll go from there, and we're in continued communication with ESS. And these one question I'm gonna move on to the next thing. So that the next one is to discuss and possible vote to approve funding for Half Moon Bay pilot program. We still have some things out to do that. I may defer this vote until our next meeting, but I'll start giving an update on what's going on into Half Moon. So we met with I say we, Matt Ladwig and myself and Miss Deanne from Natural Heritage and John Gossing from the company that makes Procelicor, all got together and met. Dr. Pageant could not be at that meeting, so he wasn't there. But we basically had a discussion on, what it was we could do over in Half Moon Bay in this year in terms of a test to see if Procelicor did in fact have any negative effect on the PVACI in there. It's the milfoil is incredibly sensitive to Procelicor. So the good news with that is it doesn't take a lot to knock down the invasive that we have there. And so far, they haven't found any real significant negative effect on any potamogeton, although they have not tested. My understanding is P. vasei that we have in the pond that we're concerned with is a little bit more delicate than some of the other potamogetons, such as the curly leaf pondweed and whatnot, which is a little bit more robust. So it hasn't hurt those guys, but no one's ever really done this test. So in a way, we're kind of stepping into uncharted waters here, pardon the pun, and that it's a little bit of historic. One historic fact is that we're actually working collaboratively with Natural Heritage to go through and do this pilot program. So that's a really good thing. We have all the people in place. We met again without Miss Deanne. So John, Matt, and this time Dr. Pageant was able to attend. That was today. And we basically kind of mapped out how we're going to kind of schedule this. It's a really tight schedule that we're doing because we want to treat with Porcillicor. It's best to kind of treat, toward the middle of June, and then so what we have to do in order to pull that off is we have to send a diver down or Dr. Pageant down, a qualified person down, to go out and map and find the vasei, confirm that it's there and that it's healthy, and then we go back and we treat, and then we go back again about a month later and see what happened, how it affected the vasei. So we're actually going to go sometime probably early June to do like a pre-map of the beds out there and set up the grids, and probably about 25 points in this grid where we're going to set up all over the pond, the 15 pond, part of the pond, and try to do it. So once we get that done, when we go in to actually look for the vasei in a more thorough manner, and right before we treat, we'll be kind of that much further along. So we're going to do that, then treat, then go back in there about a month later after the milfoil gets knocked down. Porcillicor acts a little bit different than some of the chemicals we're used to. Like, for example, when you do a diquat treatment, the lake basically you apply the chemical on there a couple of days. Within a couple of days, the whole area that you treated looks like kale soup. All the fragments are floating around, and it's just a mess, and all those things fall to the bottom. And how diquat works real basically is diquat goes after the leaves and it kills the plants through the leaves. Porcillicor is a little bit more, I shouldn't say a little bit more, significantly more invasive to the plant. It actually goes down, it gets right into the stem, right down into the roots. So the good news with Porcillicor, which is similar to sonar, is in the way it attacks the plant, is that it gets in there and it really knocks the plant out. So the nice thing about that is that there's a possibility that we'll get through that plant and into more of a controlled state, even for the next year. So it's promising if it works. There's some alternative programs. The worst thing that could happen to us in this particular test is if we go down there and we can't find vasei in the initial contest, because it's kind of, how can we do a control study if we don't actually have the plant we want to control there? So we have alternative beds that we can entertain, which is one's in Round Pond, right south of the Stringer Dam, and one's in Old Faith Bay itself. And Old Faith Bay is not as attractive to Natural Heritage because they're worried about a northern backflow of the chemical getting, flowing north and infecting vasei beds north of it. Personally, I don't see how that's really possible to do because there's a current going by there. But worst case is it's going to head south and affect the vasei right under the bridge if it affects anything. So that's an alternative there. So we're going to try to keep the study going no matter what. Hopefully we'll find vasei in Half Moon. And unfortunately, the other thing, just in case someone has this question in their mind, it's not really like, well, if you don't find it, that's good too, right? Because then we don't have to worry about it anymore. We can just treat. Yeah, well, it's not really the way it works with natural heritage, because they're really saying you can't prove a negative, unless you can't prove something doesn't exist there. So um, that's a that's kind of still an issue there. We're trying to work it out with those folks. But the good news is natural heritage is is very much involved and on board collaboratively with this. So that's a good thing and it's something we haven't seen in the past. So I'm excited about that. But to ask for funding, I'm sure I don't have a figure in yet, Don Pageant. So that's the one thing I'm missing within the components of the budget to do this. So I guess I'm going to ask that we defer that until the next meeting. There is a possibility, just to give everyone a head up, that I may call a special meeting to vote on this budget if we have to do it from a timing perspective. Any questions on that?
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
I was just wondering if it would be possible for the city of Worcester to be included in the conversations of these projects as they occur.
I don't see why not. The city of Worcester, I mean, you mean you're the city of what? You or the city of Worcester is always in conversation
As
because
the
you're on the
Lakes and
commission.
Ponds Program representative.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. No, I don't see a problem with that at all.
Great, thank you.
All right. And is that it for questions? All right. The 2021
Mr.
treatment
Chair.
plan. Oh,
Mr. Chair,
sorry.
question.
Yes,
Um,
Mr. Piker.
Do you have the approximate idea how much it will cost to treat? I mean, is it out of bounds in terms of what we would collect in terms of dock fees or monies available to us, or do we have any? I mean, it's kind of a limited body of water. That's my question, Mr. Chair.
Sure. Just the treatment part, I'm gonna guesstimate it's gonna be probably under $10,000. But there's more to it than that because we have to have Dr. Pageant go down there and do these surveys both in the beginning and after we treat, and then again actually in 2022 we have to go in there when the new growing season comes up to see what how that affected it as well. So those three components will need to be budgeted in. I'm assuming that's going to be somewhere between $5,000 and $7,000, and then ESS has a there's some reporting to do and things like that. So that's probably going to be under $5,000, I think, to do that kind of stuff. So, all in, we're probably talking a little bit under 20. So do it, and I believe, but I can't.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, does that answer your question? Great. So, anything else on that? The 2021 treatment plan, essentially, we're going to move forward with that. I believe, and I'm not trying to put Angela on the spot here, but do we send an RFQ out for this? No, we had talked about it.
It's in line to go out.
Okay, it's in line to go out. All right. So that's happening now, and we're gonna go over there and do that again, and we're gonna hit the again. The sonar had a really good. We had really good results with the sonar in Flint Pond. Good enough where we didn't really need to treat last year in that area, so that was good. And I believe it's going to be pretty much a maintenance dose this time. I don't have the exact thing about that, but so that'll work out well. And any questions on that?
I have a question, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
So the maintenance dose will just be applied to Flint Pond, or will there be other locations throughout the lake?
It'll be applied. Good. That's a good question, Jacqueline. It'll be applied to all the areas on the lake that we have Eurasian milfoil. outside of, Flint Pond being obviously the most dense and populated area that we have there, both the east and west basin of Flint Pond, mostly the east basin, mostly the Grafton area. And and any other areas, I think there's some spot stuff up by Ramshorn Island and the Lakeshore condos. I think there's another spot further up north on the Worcester shore. There may be one over by Gouch Park as well. So, and I'm thinking off the top of my head, but all the areas that we had treated in the past will get treated again and reported on.
Excellent. And I think you mentioned last time it was just one dose this year.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's going to be this kind of a maintenance thing, unless they come out there and find something different than what they're expecting. And and the other thing that we didn't see last year that I'm hoping is because we effectively managed it versus having someone just putting stuff in there that we don't know about. But we didn't see any bloom of the sacred lotus, which was fortunate because that stuff is incredibly invasive. So that was good. So I think the only thing we have on our plate right now is the Eurasian milfoil. We obviously we're gonna be looking for other things out there like the water chestnut, because we saw that up north in the lake, and we've seen it in I guess that's Mud Pond or Indian Head Pond up there, the one on the other side of West Main Street. So on the north end of the lake. So we're going to keep an eye on that stuff as well. Okay. I'm going to defer item number 4 to be included in when we get a presentation from the Quinsigamond Watershed Association. That's okay. And then the next item on there is the 2021 safety plan update. So if there's anyone from Shrewsbury Law Enforcement, is there anyone from Shrewsbury Law Enforcement in here, Angela? Someone
Yes.
came on?
Yes, Sergeant Vitols is on.
Hey, Sergeant Vitos. Thank you for joining us.
Absolutely.
Sergeant, is there any update on, I know you told the scheduled patrols, and I don't think we need to know like every hour you're going to do it. I just want to, if we're still on track for that.
Yeah, we're actually in really good shape. The boat went in the water this week. I believe Sean and Kyle have been working on putting the buoys out. I know there was some talk of maybe getting some newer ones to replace some of the older ones.
Sure. Yeah.
But the boat is definitely in the water. It's ready to go, and it's been serviced by Joe Milas over at the fire department. So it's all set and ready for the season.
All right. Perfect. To Captain DeAndre, Worcester is planning on putting their boat in as well, or is it already in?
No, Mr. Chair, we're planning on putting in. We still have since it is a new boat, a few things to do. We still need to get it registered. We still need a radio package and lights, but it will definitely be in prior to Memorial Day, and we'll maintain the same commitment with the Thursdays and Fridays like we have last year, as well as if Shrewsbury or Environmental call us and they're unable to put the boat in and there's something going on to be able to step up and head out of patrol as far as that's concerned as well.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Hey, a question, Captain DeAndre, that just came to mind when you said put lights on. I believe that boat, if it's the boat I'm thinking of, because the environmental police had that thing out there last year, and it was a nice boat because you could actually get it under the Stringer Dam to get over to the Flint Pond area. You had to put down the bimini, but you could get underneath the dam, the water pipe thing there, and get over there. Is the plan? Are you guys going to put kind of an arch on it for the police, or is it something that you can still get under the? I think one of the advantages of having that boat in is to be able to patrol that third of the lake.
Yeah, no, I think they were just gonna put some other blue lights on it as well as some wigwags and stuff like that, but it wouldn't increase the height of it where it wouldn't be able to
Okay.
get under the bridge.
All right, that'd be perfect. All right, great, thank you. All right, so that's all good news, and really appreciate you guys, and you know, I hope it's a nice, clean, safe season out there. One,
I have a quick question on the boat, through
Yep.
the chair to the captain. I remember hearing that Indian Lake also had a patrol boat. I was just wondering if it was the same boat, and if it is the same boat, if you had finalized the boat washing procedures between the two lakes, since both lakes have some invasive aquatic plant issues.
Yes, it will be the same boat. That's the only boat that Worcester has. So we will be utilizing that for both lakes. But again, the commitment will be the Thursday, Friday, and as well as anything that is needed on Lake Quinsig first, and then go over to Indian Lake after that.
Have you finalized any procedures to make sure that the boat is decontaminated from invasive aquatic plants between the two lakes?
That's a good question.
If not, I'm happy to work with you on that, since there are some procedures just to minimize. Just both lakes have different plants, and it would be a shame if we cross-contaminated them.
I'm glad you're on the phone, because we I don't even believe we thought about that. But why don't we talk offline? And
Absolutely. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Jacqueline, that was a excellent point to bring up. Thank you. One other thing while we're on lake management, and Mr. Polito, I'm going to direct this question to you, because you're the person I believe closest to this. Is it on Drake Island, you know, where the eagles are? I know that we had put up signs to keep people off the island, would not disturb the eagles, and which has been pretty effective. I mean, I've gone through that. I've got a lot of complaints last year that people were in fact on the island. When you went by, they weren't really on the island. They were standing on the water and the beach and all that stuff. So technically speaking, they weren't on the island. But one thing I did notice last year, is that there's, you know, while they were there, they, you know, while the people were hanging around, you know, rafted up out there, they were playing like music excessively loud. And is that a disturbance to the eagles? Is that something I'm not asking you if you're an eagle expert, but you know, would that be counter to what we're trying to achieve out there, and kind of not having the eagles disturbed?
I can't say I know the answer to that, but I'm sure it's not helpful, and I can look into it with the conservation agent.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if it's something, some additional thing we need to put on that, you know, is you can't have that kind of noise around it. You know, I don't exactly know how we would enforce that, but I guess if there's a low noise ordinance or something right around there, that because of the wildlife, that, you know, help you know, keep it away from that point. I'm not asking for a low noise ordinance for the entire pond. I'm just saying right there by that island. If you're hanging out you know, around that area, you know, to keep the music down. And anyone who's watching this, I would ask that you did do that. You know, and I don't know how much the eagles are paying attention. I'm almost always embarrassed when I go over there and start looking at them, because I think that, you know, they're probably looking like, why are these people staring at us all the time? I don't really think that bothers them that much, but I got to believe that some of the you know, some of the concerts that are going on out there aren't to their liking. I never saw them dancing up in the nest, so I don't think they like it that much. Okay, just curious. And item number 5, I don't really have an update on Chapter 91, so I don't have much to say about that at this point. And item number 6, an update from Jacqueline Burmeister.
Great. Yeah, I have a quick presentation. Actually, we have a lot of really cool stuff going on, so I am going to present to you my screen. You'll have this. All right, so you're all able to see this, I guess. The State of the Lakes is our annual event on water quality monitoring results that from our water quality testing that we do at the city of Worcester. Lake Quinsigamond is one of the lakes that we test twice a month between May and this year into December. So this year it was a virtual event. We shared the results as well as some of the projects that we're working on. It happened last week, but this year we created videos that I will put in the chat. There is a separate video just for Lake Quinsigamond's results. And it's about 18 minutes long, but it's jam-packed with information on water quality and some of the phenomenon that we saw on Lake Quinsigamond that you've heard a little bit talked about at these commission meetings. However, kind of put together to create a whole story of water quality for the lake. So just some things that are happening this year in DPW that will affect our monitoring program and the Lakes and Ponds program in general. We have a new employee with the Lakes and Ponds program. This is Nick Pagan. He's going to be assisting in the water quality monitoring. So he's going to be the one going out and collecting the samples on the lake this year. And he's really excited. I've been training him for the last few weeks. We were actually just out on Lake Quinsigamond 2 days ago, I believe, or was it yesterday? We've been out there a couple times already and just getting him accustomed to the boat and sampling techniques. He's a master in biology, so he has some background in water quality sampling. He used to take samples for the drinking water supply in the city. So another project that we have going on this year that we're really excited about is we are creating a database for different organizations that take bacteria samples to share, to upload their information so that we have it all in one place in the city of Worcester. And it's the same, I think, around Lake Quinsigamond between the town and the city and DCR and the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association. We have so many groups that are taking bacteria samples, but they're on slightly different schedules, different places. And so we don't always have the results all going to one place, which is problematic when you're looking for patterns in hits. And so we are creating a tool where different organizations can upload their results through a Google form, and they all go to a single program that will have mapping capabilities where we will actually be able to see all the results. We're going to start working on it internally in the city with the city divisions that take water quality samples between sewers and inspectional services and lakes and ponds. And then we're hoping to, with buy-in from the town of Shrewsbury and the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association and DCR, get you all on board so that we can start getting a better picture of where these bacteria exceedances are happening around Lake Quinsigamond, and then maybe start to tackle these questions more systematically. So that's an exciting project that we have coming up. Another project that we have is finally starting to do more about the tracking of these invasive mollusks, the Corbicula fluminea, or those Asian clams that we've been seeing more and more of over the last few years. So we're working with the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association and Mass DEP to develop a sampling methodology throughout Lake Quinsigamond, take some samples and start to get an idea of not just what the status is of this invasive mollusk that we know is growing in geography in the lake, but what are the other native mollusks and how at risk are they? We're going to apply these methods in the other lakes and ponds in Worcester just to see how they're doing, what is their native mollusk profile, and where has the invasive mollusks not gotten to yet, and how can we prevent it from spreading more. So we're really excited about this project too. It's brand new. It's going to involve sediment sampling, and so we'll keep you updated with how that goes. We are going to be putting out our cyanobacteria monitoring buoys later this month. We are getting them in the mail probably any day now. They went back for the winter to be calibrated and updated, and we're hoping to get them out again really soon. So you will see 2 of these buoys. The monitor itself is that smaller round piece that's floating next to that that larger mooring buoy that's really just meant to keep people away. Finally, the biofiltration unit on Coal Mine Brook. I'm just finalizing the signage that's going to go on that, and they should be constructing that it's called a focal point unit. It's just basically an advanced rain garden that's capable of filtering even more road runoff than a typical rain garden biofiltration unit, to try to help ease that stormwater pressure at the mouth of Coal Mine Brook at Lake Ave North. As far as cyanobacteria, we have our Cyanobacteria Monitoring Collaborative. This is this group of community scientists that are trained in collecting water quality samples and identifying cyanobacteria. We're really pushing to expand the program this year to include more and more lakes and ponds. Lake Quinsigamond has always been a great participant. We have a lot of people signed up already from Newton Pond, but if there are other people in Shrewsbury or Worcester who are interested in studying lakes and ponds, you don't need any experience. You just come to the training. We give you all the materials that you need. And if you are able to go and sample a different pond in Shrewsbury, say Jordan Pond, or maybe something in Grafton, like, you are more than welcome to participate. It's free of charge, all ages. Just scan this QR code and you will get to the registration link for the information and training session. It's a lot of fun. And if you want to talk to some folks from the Watershed Association that have been involved, I'd say talk to Mike Liberty, Barbara Kickham. They've been involved and have been great assets to the program. And finally, our Angler event series has been chugging along. We had our 5th event of the Angler event series yesterday. It was on cyanobacteria and fish health. We had some folks from from Mass Wildlife come, and a researcher from the University of New Hampshire come to talk about cyanotoxins in the food web. It was fascinating stuff. The next one that we have, the next event, is on the biology of fly fishing. So this is just an event series that just relates water quality and fishing. It's for all types of anglers, from beginner to advanced to just people who maybe aren't even interested in fishing but are interested in fish health. So this next event is on fly fishing specifically, and all the things that fish eat. The macroinvertebrates that are indicators of water quality, and how those macroinvertebrates really do drive what fish can survive in a water body, and are indicators of lake health. That event is on May 5th at 6:00 p.m. It's virtual again. You could sign up at Woo Angler Series. And that's all I have for you. Does anyone have any questions? I know that was a lot of information.
Any questions for Jacqueline?
I have
Barbara,
a
get your
question.
hand up. Yep.
Yes, I raised my hands up, Mr. Chairman. Yes, Jackie, do you have a cyanobacteria buoy in Indian Lake? Are they requesting one?
We do not have a cyanobacteria buoy in Indian Lake. We are thinking, we're kind of testing them out in Lake Quinsigamond, and then I think we will eventually, if it turns out to be a helpful device, we'll probably put one in Indian Lake as well. We do a lot more cyanobacteria monitoring throughout the summer at Indian Lake. So this is kind of like more of a passive cyanobacteria monitor.
And we have had a few people said they wanted to help with the cyanobacteria monitoring. I know a couple people that have signed up for the training. will we be able to get additional equipment instead of, we're sharing the equipment now. Mike and Steve share the equipment, and we'll have, it's a long lake. We're going to have somebody, I believe, in Flint Pond, hopefully someone in the southern end of the lake, and then someone to do the very northern end, which we haven't been sampling.
Yeah, so we do have a lot more equipment this year.
Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, we do have a lot more equipment this year, so there will be more opportunities to get that out to people. And once we have commitments from who's sampling where, and we know where all the sampling sites are, we'll be able to divvy that up in a way that makes sense, so that people aren't running all over town to pass off equipment.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Jacqueline, I have a question for you. I suddenly
Yeah.
remembered that at the next rowing club meeting, I'm probably going to be asked by the same several members again, exactly where the two buoys will be on Lake Quinsigamond.
Yep. They're going to be in the same place they were last year. So there's going to be, yeah. So they'll be in the same spot. So there's going to be one like slightly south of the rowing club, and then another one kind of like slightly south of White City.
Okay.
Yep. So those are like the two deepest areas, and so we find them to be like the most representative of what's going on in the lake as a whole. Well, they're not in the middle of the lake. They're kind of off to the side, so they won't be in like the rowing course at
Okay.
all. Yep. So I just put the links to the results of the video for Lake Quinsigamond water quality monitoring in the chat, as well as a link to the Lakes and Ponds webpage where you can register for any of those events.
Very good. Thank you, Jacqueline.
Right.
Anyone
Yeah.
else have any questions? Jacqueline, while she's here? She gets paid by the hour, so you can, just take your time.
There's also going to be coming up in May some fantastic Angler Series events going on at Lake Quinsigamond. So stay tuned for that.
All right, cool. Okay, moving right along. An update from the watershed, Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association. That's going to be you tonight, Ms.
Yes,
Kickham?
Barbara Kickham, Watershed Association. Jackie just led me into, I'll mention our participation in the Anglers event series is going to start off with the Fishapalooza, the Angela named, caught on camera fishing event. So we want people to go out to basically any water body in town, Lake Quinsigamond or elsewhere. Whatever you catch, take a picture and post it on our Padlet, and we'll have prizes. Some people are working on some nice prizes. We'd like to get your story and share where you caught that fish and show us your pictures. So that's May 21st through May 23rd. And this past weekend, we had some people out at Oak Island doing some cleanup. I haven't gotten a report back, so I don't know how many people showed up. I don't think it was super well attended, but we did do some work over there, and we've started doing cleanup at Gauch Park. We're going to add some plants and some flowers. It's worked. The rain garden is working very nicely, but it just needs a little sprucing up. Did some raking and need to add some plants there, but it's working very nicely. And next I wanted to report on our plan to continue the bacteria monitoring within the lake and on the tributaries of the lake. I'm going to share my screen if I can. I have a double screen, so hopefully. Can you see that? Can you see a map?
No.
No map. Okay, let me see if I bring it over here. Can you see it now?
No.
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 Okay, never mind. I guess I'll have to practice it next time. So our plan is, you've seen the map, we've planned to do the same locations. It's 10 locations, 2 midpoint locations in the lake, the main tributaries to the lake, and the UMass outfall and the Route 9 Belmont Ave outfall. We want to follow up with what we did last year, see if we see similar bacteria exceedances. And the plan is to do 3 years of data collection and then go from there. Because that way you have at least 1 rainy year, probably 1 dry year, maybe 2 years, but 3 years gives you average weather data. So this will be our 2nd year. Our 1st year was very experimental. We only had a few locations. So this will be our 2nd year of our full plan. The total budget right now is estimated at $9,715. The Watershed Association, including volunteer time, is planning to spend $3,715 is our share of that. That would cover the water quality monitoring coordinator, so our Worcester State intern, his hours, as well as up to 2 DNA biomarkers should we need to do that, and a boat and gas, etc., ice, all the miscellaneous expenses. That's $3,700. We have requested and received from the city of Worcester $3,000 to help cover the cost of the E. coli lab analysis. And we are requesting that the Lake Quinsigamond Commission cover the other half of the lab analysis, which would be another $3,000. But Worcester has generously offered to help with half of that. So it's following up what we did last year. So anybody has any questions on it, please ask me now. I'm probably forgetting some important details.
I just have one question. This is for Jacqueline. Is the funds from Worcester coming from the Lakes and Ponds program? Or is that coming from the something other than that?
All funds for Lake Quinsigamond come from the Lakes and Ponds program.
Okay.
Yep.
So it's 10 sampling locations and 2 QA/QC samples, which is a dupe and a blank for each time we go out. And it's 10 weeks of sampling. We're going to start at the end of May and go through the 1st week of October. We may drop off the 1st week of October, but that's the plan right now. That would be 10 sampling events to cover the whole swimming season.
Okay.
So we're requesting the $3,000 from the commission to help cover that.
Angela, what do we have?
Yeah, we have to cover that.
Okay. So we have the funds. Does anyone in the commission have any comments or questions? Okay, so I'm not hearing anything, so I guess I'll accept the motion to.
I got a question.
Sure.
The testing that's being done by the city, is any of this testing being duplicated by the Quinsigamond, Lake Quinsigamond Association?
No.
I could answer that. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Go ahead, Jackie.
Oh, no. So we actually created the sampling plan in collaboration with the City of Worcester and the Lake Quinsigamond Watershed Association in order to build upon the current sampling that the Lakes and Ponds program is already doing. We don't do as much sampling for bacteria at tributaries. That is one of the things that was of big interest to the Watershed Association and the Commission. And so no, like we don't necessarily focus on that as part of the Lakes and Ponds program. So it wouldn't be a duplication of efforts there.
I got one more question, Peter. Does any of this information help us with our obligations to the conservation commissions for testing and whatnot for weed treatments?
I would say probably not directly, because they don't have a lot to do with the reporting and testing that we do for those permits to cover our obligations for the permits are done typically by ESS, and it's a whole different study, and it's usually involves weed mapping and to see what the results are and how we're progressing and things like that. So we're not really doing any bacteria monitoring types of testing for the to cover our permits.
Okay.
This testing is really about an ongoing and I'll say this, that I'm hoping that this program will actually grow, continue to grow. It's in small amounts. I think we're expanding it just a little bit this year, like we expanded a little bit last year, and it'll continue to kind of go up. We're doing all of this basically to understand what's coming into Lake Quinsigamond, where it's coming from, and that way it's going to give us a better idea of how we treat and mitigate the things that are happening now and that have happened in the past. One of the coolest things that are happening this year, and I'm hoping Bill will share a little bit about this on his report, is our is the efforts that we're going to be doing in Grafton, funded by the folks in Grafton, regarding some of the historical things that happened that caused the situation that we have over in the south end of Flint Pond there. But the bottom line here is that we want to understand everything that's coming into the lake, where it's coming from, what it is, and that'll give us a better way to deal with it. So it's in a way it is related, of course, because we're out there treating, and we're spending tens of thousands of dollars treating the lake for things, but it's always reactionary. It's always about, well, we got milfoil now. We don't even we're not really understanding fully where milfoil is even coming from or how it got in here. So there's all kinds of different efforts that this will help shape. So the bottom line here is this is just an important aspect of making this a clean, healthy, vibrant water body in the middle, essentially, of two business districts. One in the city of Worcester and one in the town of Shrewsbury, with 3 highways spanning it, and a densely developed area around it. So there's a lot of moving parts. There's sewer systems, there's stormwater systems, there's the highway runoff. There's all kinds of things going on here. There's boats coming in and out that are basically going in and out unchecked and unclean. So there's a whole bunch of things going on that we want to make sure that we're managing the lake in the right way. So the money that we do spend on treatments, like from milfoil and everything else, that we're not throwing good money after bad. So that's kind of the spirit of this whole thing, and I think it's an incredibly important thing to do, and something we haven't done in the past. So that's why my belief is we should keep doing this.
One of the questions we get every single time there's a major rainstorm is it safe to swim in the lake? And that's one of the things we want to address and give people confidence that generally the lake is very safe and it is very clean to swim in, except for after significant rainstorms and at certain locations where we're seeing elevated levels of bacteria. We saw it at most of the tributaries, but only at extremely high levels at a couple locations. And Whitla Ave, and I think that hopefully that's been addressed, and hopefully we won't see that again. So it's to kind of reassure the public, for one thing. If it turns out there are chronic bacteria exceedances, then we talk to the city, we talk to the town of Shrewsbury, and maybe they can and they will have to address that to see what's going into that trib that goes into the lake. And so we're helping the town address stormwater issues that are going into the lake, that they will have to be doing this eventually. So we're giving them a baseline of data to start with. And I also wanted to add that last year, you guys gave us $1,000. And the reason why it's up to $3,000 this year is because we applied to a grant, but to DEP, but they didn't offer the grant this year. So that's why it's more from the city and from you guys.
So this is really part of the lake management plan. So it's, it's kind of it's consistent with what we've been talking about over the last few years. And, we're taking a lot of the stuff, we're kind of getting into the big boy league here, where we're taking a lot of the stuff on directly, so we can make sure that we, that it gets. And, part of the issue we had, because 2 or 3 years ago, I had asked someone to look in to all the information that was coming in, because we had the Board of Health in Worcester and Shrewsbury and Grafton, doing tests. The state was doing tests. And we said, well, let's go out and get the information. So we have all that stuff in a spreadsheet. And it was near impossible to gather all that information. Like, it literally, this person's, was basically beating their head against the wall, trying to get all this information together and to get it accurately and get it in a timely fashion. And it was almost impossible to pull that off in the different agencies. I don't know why, but that said, it became apparent that if we want to really keep a handle on this, that we were basically going to have to, take it on, we have to do it ourselves. And at the end of the day, it's about keeping, it's about a healthy lake, and that's kind of what we're going to do here. I was talking to Lisa earlier in the week, and I think it was you that told me this, that they were talking to somebody, a realtor, I think it was, that was selling a property, and the realtor said, hey, by the way, she kind of gave the old sidebar, by the way, she didn't know Lisa lived on the lake, and certainly didn't know she was a commissioner, but hey, the lake isn't that clean, so I'd be careful of, you may not want to, this may not be a good lake to move on to. And that's just the kind of reputation that one, you don't want to have, obviously. Especially me as a property owner, or anyone who's watching us right now, there's a property owner. You don't want that. I do swim in the lake and have been since since before 1988. But consistently, I've swam because I live on the lake since 1988. Look how I turned out. So it's that's what this is really all about. It's really part of the plan. I think it's an important part, and I would my vote would be yes, so we do it and keep doing it. Anything else? Any other questions? All right, is there a motion?
I make a motion.
I'll make a motion, Mr. Chair, that we, as a commission, donate $3,000 to the watershed effort as so discussed.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Thank you. All those in favor? Well, I keep forgetting I have to do a roll call. We're going to do a roll call. Mr. Pica.
Aye.
Sergeant, are you still on the still on the call? Sergeant Vitos? All right, let's skip over that. Captain DeAndre?
Yes.
Mr. Polito?
Yes.
Mr. Nickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Emery?
Yes.
Mr. Bossier?
Yes.
Mr. Nelson?
Yes.
All right, so voted. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was trying to vote in the affirmative. I just wasn't coming through.
Thank you so much. The wonders of modern technology. All right, thank you. All right, so we're in.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, for you and Mike and Jacqueline, all for the collaboration on this, which is another great thing, is the collaboration we have going on between the three programs. So it's we're really fortunate to have all these resources. All right, I'm gonna, before I go on to commissioner reports, I just want to make sure is there any anything you need us for, Mr. Diggins?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, good. So you're all set for the season?
Yeah, we're just we're winding down. We got a couple more weekend races, and then we're done.
Cool. Is there one this Saturday?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on. Item number 8 is the commissioners' reports. I think I've exhausted all my reporting tonight, so I'm gonna go on to Mr. Pica.
Mr. Chair, the lake seems to be maintained in terms of its level. I put the buoy in front of the Half Moon Cove. As recently as yesterday, I've seen the eagles flying about. But lastly, Mr. Chair, in terms of what's on my mind is, I heard the Worcester police report that they're going to hopefully get the boat in by Memorial Day, but I can tell you right now that there's a lot of traffic on the lake already on weekends, a lot of jet skis, and we were talking about before noise in terms of whether it's disturbing the eagles or not, but people are out there and they're playing their stereos in their boat extremely loud. When you can hear, and I've said this in previous commission meetings last year, when you can hear clearly audio 400 feet away, that's loud. This is going to have to be something that I believe the Worcester and Shrewsbury police are going to have to pay attention to. And I think they can give the sign to people to turn it down when it's, obviously disruptive in terms of so to speak, the general peace. I like music. I personally have nothing against it, but when you can hear somebody else's music clearly 400 feet away, then that seems to me you're constituting kind of disturbing the peace at that point. And I just want to make an issue of the fact that it was an issue this past Saturday. So, by Memorial Day, there's probably going to be many, many more boats on the lake. For instance, last year and this year, I understand in talking with one particular marina, they have sold all of their boats. They have no new boats to sell. So there's going to be more boats on the waters this year than ever. So we need to pay attention to that because these people also have stereos that they feel they can just blast. So that's going to be an issue, I think, this year, and we have to pay attention to it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Spiker, thank you. I can say this, that I've noticed that when law enforcement does come near any of the boats that do that, they automatically turn it down. So I think it's one of the challenges that they have is that the second they approach the boat, well, the music's down, so they're going like, okay. So I don't know how you do it. I don't know if I guess Sergeant Fidos, we need an undercover boat now, okay? Because the marked one isn't doing it. They see it coming, they turn it down. But seriously, I've seen it more than once. Whether the police boat will come around the island, for example, and all of a sudden the music gets turned down, and they putt by, and and they know where the music was coming from, but so it's a game. So it really is, and I'm going to appeal to anyone who's listening to this right now that's out there and wants to have a good time, and we think you should have a good time out there. We really do, but your good time should not infringe on other people's good times. And if they can't, even listen to their own music, and they're, like Michael said, they're 400 feet away from you, they should be able to enjoy their own kind of music without having to listen to yours. So that's what I'm going to ask, and we'll continue to ask that, and hopefully figure out a way I'll have fun and enjoy it. So that's it on that. It's not just the local marinas, by the way. I can tell you, because that's what I do, is almost everybody sold out of boats in New England. So it's crazy. All right. Thank you, Mr. Piker. Sergeant Vitos, do you have a report?
I don't have one prepared, unfortunately. Sean Valier was supposed to do it today, but he's working shift and got caught up on a pretty significant incident. But I just would like to make a comment regarding the noise complaints. Historically, those have been our number one issues on the lake. We are very aware of the situation. We're trying to balance the very fine line between having fun and then excessive noise. Obviously, that's been something that, as Mr. Chair, you've enlightened everyone that as soon as we do turn the corner, they see us coming, they turn it down, and there's a non-issue. And as soon as we leave again, it happens. So I can tell you that we have a very, I would say, aggressive approach in a way this coming year, where we're going to try to have zero tolerance for a lot of that behavior in the lake to try to make it enjoyable for everybody. So we're going to do our best.
All right. I really appreciate that. Okay. Terrific. Captain DeAndre, have a report?
I don't have anything else, Mr. Chair.
Thanks, Cap. Mr. Polito.
All set.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Nickerson?
No report.
Thank you. Ms. Amory?
So I received a request from Angela Snell to look into the dock expansion possibility at Madulka's, and I reached out to the city to investigate what was going on with that, and the city did not have knowledge of expansion plans for Madulka's. So I am going to pursue that further over the next couple days and report back to you directly. In addition, I have also reached out to both Michelle Smith and what's her name?
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
Cavino.
Yeah, and Stephanie is out of the office for a few days, so she did not respond. Michelle Smith did get back to me to let me know that had happened. And she also asked questions back to me about what are the lists of things that we want to know about each of the different dock permitting situations. So I'm going to, in the next few days, start digging deeper into what's happening over at the city for each of the different parcels that are involved, to find out what the status is in each situation, to find out what the legal department is saying in each situation, and to try to fill in the gaps from what we've got on our end in the various discussions of the last several months. I'm feeling like what we need now is kind of more of a forensic investigation, because I think we're not getting enough information out of the city.
Okay, I appreciate that. This is regarding North Lake Ave.
North Lake Ave, yes.
Yeah.
All of that.
Okay, yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, you're absolutely right that and basically we just want to find out what they want to do with it. It's city property. Technically speaking, anyone who has a dock on there right now is in violation of our rule, the Lake Quinsigamond Commission rule regarding docks, meaning that they're not land owning abutters. And I know it's been legacy. These docks have been in there for a long, long time. And I'm the last person who wants to, wreck someone's ability to enjoy the lake. So I hope we can come to a meeting of the minds. I just want to make sure that we understand, what they're going to do about it, what the city wants to do about it.
So
That's really helpful.
One last thing that Michelle suggested was that it might be a good opportunity for us to meet as the Lake Association, the Lake Commission, the city, the DEP, and any other interested parties to come together in a meeting and really just kind of hash it out.
Okay. Yeah, I'll make myself available for that kind of meeting. For sure.
So,
Okay.
I'll do that too.
All right. So I also want to respond to the Madukas thing. I spoke with Mike Maduka, and I spoke again. I communicated with a woman from his organization regarding the expansion of the docks and what I had indicated to Mr. Maduka. So I'm kind of disappointed that the city does not know about. Like, he didn't reach out to the city, because my direction was you need to.
He might have reached out to the city. Michelle did not know about it.
Okay, so I just that that was, if he wants to expand the dock, that he needs to go through that process with the Lake Commission, and part of that process is to go through conservation. That's just part of the process. Conservation, Worcester Conservation may turn around and it could be an RDA or whatever, and say, you don't need to do anything with us, we're fine with it. Because as long as you're not building a bulkhead or something down there, which I believe he's already done, so that's behind us. But and it permitted, because they redid their wall over there. But he's been informed that's the he needs to do it. He can't just put it out there. But I will say this: the Madukas did reach out to us, the Lake Commission, to ask, what he needed to do. So,
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
When Mr. Maduka first put those docks in, we had many hearings about those docks.
Yeah.
And they were set where they are, so as they would not interfere with the Marine Corps or the other abutter next door. And there were many meetings. So if the expansion, that's a very tight area, and I don't know what his plans are. I think we definitely would need to have a hearing on that and to fully discuss it, because where they were set, it took a while to come up with that configuration for all of that, for all
Right.
parties involved.
I remember those meetings. Some of those meetings are being very entertaining. So my understanding is he wants to come out 20 feet. Straight out from where he is. There's no plans to move the system, east, north, or south. From the point it's at now, he just wants to expand out one more set of docks out to the top of it. So I don't. What? Pardon me.
I have a question. Do we have a limit on how far out people can extend their docks before it starts to interfere with boat traffic?
Yes. Well, if it presents itself as a navigational hazard, I would, that would be an issue. And we have in the past, like we did at Eastern Point last year or the year before, I guess, was to make them pull back. Well, first of all, those guys they already had a plan, which they ignored and built the docks that they wanted to put there. So they had to change them because they basically came out into the rowing lanes. So that was a navigational hazard, and it shouldn't have happened. I haven't done a measurement in that particular spot where Maduka's is, so that's really what we probably should do. I will do this. I will contact Maduka's again and tell them this is what we need to do, and I'll go down and take a look at the site. And Sergeant Vitos, if you want that in company of law enforcement, then we'll if Sean or Kyle want to check it out as well, I'll be happy to arrange it together, or they can go separately. But I hesitated to do anything until they gave a formal ask. So what my call to Mr. Maduka will be, you got to ask, you got to do this, you got to submit the paperwork because your neighbors are complaining, because this is coming from an abutter. And I'm not sure if it's from the Marine Corps or not. I'm not sure who the abutter is or where they live. And I reached out to the abutter also and said, please contact me so we can, talk about your concerns, because we want to know. But Mr. Polito is right on as far as, this is going to have to come before, and have a hearing and go through the whole process again if he wants to expand those docks. And we have to make sure that they're not going to be a navigational hazard or an impingement on anyone around them, because it is a fairly tight area over there. Although in their defense, they have a wider waterfront than, their neighbors. And I think they've been fairly accommodating. So, any other questions or comments on that? All right. Cameron, is that it for your report?
That's it. Yeah.
All right. Hey, and thank you so much for for taking point on this. Ms. Labossiere.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I went to the cleanup down at Coal Mine Brook on April 10th. And I met the gentleman who cleans up every day, Mr. Gilbert. What a great guy. I also met there's a bunch of fishermen down there. So it wasn't well attended, but it was interesting and got a lot of information. I actually was there today as well. And I had a question. Is it an environmental issue for a commercial company to pump water out of the lake?
Would anyone from conservation like to answer that question?
I'll take, yes, I believe you're allowed to pump out of the lake, not into the lake.
Okay, I just, there was a company, Hydro Seed, pulled up and threw their big hose in the lake and started pumping water out of it.
And that's at Browning Beach?
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't that no parking over there?
I'm sorry?
Isn't that no parking over there?
Oh yeah.
I know. I've seen that. I've seen that rig at Flint Pond too. My concern with that, and maybe someone knows this better than I do, is that by their very nature, it's a hydro seed company, and they're sticking a hose, and does that have like seed or any kind of other nutrient or fertilizer, or what kind of contamination is on that thing to do that? Because
they have check valves. There's a check valve on that.
Okay. So the hoses that they use to input the water is different than the stuff they're using to export to spread this. Okay.
There's an air gap between the water coming in.
Yeah.
From the lake to the tank. So
okay.
Cross contamination.
Okay. So it's been addressed and it's safe.
Okay, so it's not it's not an illegal thing that they're doing.
Anything illegal. Unless we catch them dumping something in there, that is illegal. And it's a matter for conservation. It's a matter of interest for the Lake Quinsigamond Commission, but it's that's really under the purview of the Conservation Commission, and because it violates the Wetlands Protection Act. So
it just so happened too that Rob Antonelli from the Worcester Parks was down in that area as well today. So I chatted with him a little bit about the park, that the open space area that they're planning on potentially making a park. And I reached out to a couple of the city councilors just to see if there's anything we can do to address some of those issues down there. The stuff that we cleaned up was disgusting.
Yeah. Was there any any feedback from the counselors, or haven't they?
George Russell, did, he, where it's District 2 versus District 3, he's District 3.
Yeah.
And I'm just waiting to hear back from Candy Carlson.
Okay, all right,
But she's been pretty helpful down in that area
okay, good.
previously, so.
Yeah, that's another area in the Worcester side that I'd like to get addressed to see what, what the city's gonna, and to be frank, if they want to make it a park, I'm all for it, that's great, but, so someone's managing, it's not a free-for-all over there, because that's really what's been existing for the last decade, and I just think it's dangerous.
Well, what would be nice is if they could actually utilize that for maybe small watercrafts. Make that also like a, like a boat ramp.
Yep, there was a boat ramp.
Similar,
So you-
yeah.
Yeah.
But similar to
Put
what
Corzini in, that
Shrewsbury
was
has,
the boat ramp. Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
going back to the discussion about people withdrawing water, Mike Liberty just texted in a message saying he believes there's a gallon limit that they can withdraw without a permit and that they can't disturb the lake bottom.
Okay. So, and I don't know, they may have a permit for all I know. I don't think, I guess those are things we probably should reach out and ask if they're all set with that. And if they're not, then please, make themselves right.
The
Can I
gallon
just,
is
can I just add,
9
we don't,
million. It's 9 million gallons in 90 days. That's the gallon limit, or 70 gallons a minute for 90 days. So we used to get at DP, we get this question every year about the volume that they can withdraw. So seed company's never gonna do that, or pool company or whatever. It's more
Their
of a
tank big enough.
Okay. So they're never gonna get to that level. Is that what you're saying?
9 million gallons in 90 days, 100,000 gallons a day. So yeah, no.
Oh, wow.
Right. Okay.
it's not allowed at the state boat ramps. Just so there's no confusion, we don't allow it at the state boat ramps because that's not a use of the public access. Because
Ooh.
people doing it there and we ask them not to, because it's the boat ramps are really for fishing and boating access, not for a private company to, use it for their business. So just so people know that.
Well,
That's
they
probably
went
why
up
they're coming
about,
down there.
they went beyond the ramp about 50 yards.
Okay. So and that's city property over there too, right? Along that
Correct.
bank,
Yeah.
past the boat ramp.
Yeah, it's just beyond where the old Fallon used to be.
Yeah.
Directly across from there is where they were.
Okay.
So, Mr.
Hi.
Chair,
Yes.
the question I have now is how frequent is that type of withdrawal being made? I mean, how many seeding companies are doing that, or how many other companies that need water are withdrawing water, and over what period of time?
Well, I got to imagine it's not too many pool companies are doing it. But I don't know. I mean, I guess that's the only way we could really find that out is to ask the companies themselves to figure it out.
It's something that maybe, I don't know, is it something we can monitor? How would we monitor it?
How would you do it?
That's a good question. I mean, if they have, and Bob, you can kind of chime in if there's some kind of permit process for them to do it based on limits, and they have to get a permit for it, then obviously you can monitor them that way. If they don't do it, then I guess it's basically they're telling you they're doing it. And I think that was it 9 million gallons or something? That's a lot of water. I don't think they're using that in 90 days. They may be. There's maybe more than one truck going in there, so you don't. We can approach the company and ask them, but really, that's kind of more of a conservation issue than a lake commission issue. Is that accurate, Barb?
Yeah, I'm just answering the question about the volume, permit for a volume withdrawal, and that's what is regulated. So there's other things like what Angela mentioned, taking a withdrawal from a boat ramp, if they're taking it from a wetland, how their truck is accessing the the buffer zone, those other things that are governing it. But as far as with the volume, I used to get this question every year, and none of these companies take that much water out. So it's, like I said, it's 100,000 gallons a day. And or 9 million gallons over any 90-day period. So it's like golf courses, like the volume that a golf course would use. But that's all I'm addressing is just the total withdrawal volume. So there are maybe other issues.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you again,
Okay.
Amanda. Thank you for getting up. Is there anything else?
That is it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Nelson.
I guess two issues. The Quinsigamond Rowing Club is going to start rowing in eights again, starting in May, unlike last summer when they were limited to singles. They're going to be using the same system that Mr. Diggums described that the colleges are following for the state cohort system for the 4 weekends of rowing that he's talked about. And they've got sign-up sheets. They're creating the first set of monthly cohorts for May, and then they'll produce new cohorts each month until probably September or October. So they will be getting out in eights on the lake again this summer. The second thing is I've been talking to the various boards in Grafton. I presented to the selectmen that what we're asking for in our community preservation grant, and they were all positive, got positive remarks from all of them, even an email thanking us for that effort. I've also talked individually to members of the planning board and the finance committee, and again I've got nothing but positive comments, so there doesn't seem to be any problems showing up yet.
Okay. Good. And what's the next hurdle we have? We're waiting for the. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's the Springtown meeting. Either Nicholson or I will have to show up probably and answer questions at the Springtown meeting when it's voted on. But the Community Preservation Committee has already submitted it as one of the 3 items on the town warrant, and we've had no questions or problems show up for yet on any of the boards about it being on the town warrant. So if things continue smoothly, the only thing will be answering questions at the town meeting. And as I said, John Nicholson and me, that's because basically the town meeting is limited to, residents of the town.
Okay, that's good for me. I don't mean to embarrass you, Bill, but this was a tremendous effort, and I was in some of those meetings with Grafton, and I didn't hear anything but positive statements about the job and the thoroughness and the professionalism and whatnot that you brought to this effort. And I think that, a large reason that this passed through, because it's my understanding that, they didn't have a whole bunch of questions at the end of your presentation that they came back at. And, that can mean 2 things, I guess. That can mean that they don't have any interest at all and they're not going to vote for it. Or that you did such a good job at it that, they understood it. And it was a complicated thing to understand what we're trying to accomplish over there, and certainly not something that they're used to hearing about. So the fact that it, my understanding it was the latter, not the former, that they basically had all the information that they needed. They were satisfied with it, and they thought it was such a good job that they, basically it's kind of sailing through the process with all the boards. And having dealt with Grafton and all the boards you've talked to over the last 10 years or so, that's not an easy feat. It really isn't. So I really want to thank you, and for my mind, I'm proud of the work you did down there, and you made the commission look really good. So thank you so much for that. Oh, yes. Lisa, you had your hand up? Or you...
I think she was clapping for Bill, which
Oh, okay.
Peter, real quick, Mr. Chair, I wanted to echo the same thing. So being on conservation for Grafton, again, Bill's thoroughness was definitely recognized by the commission there. We gave it as much support as we possibly could, and appreciate the efforts of Bill. So Bill, thank you very much.
All right. Terrific. Is there anything else, any other business to come up before the commission? Okay. There being none on that side of it, I just want to go through and set the meeting date for our next meeting. Sometime in May. That's going to be on Memorial Day weekend. We're going to meet
May 26th.
May 26th. All right.
Yep, Memorial Day.
That's a week before Memorial. That's before Memorial. All right. Perfect. Okay. That said, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Pica,
Aye. Aye.
Sergeant Vitos, you're still with us.
I'm here, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I adjourn. Yep.
Thank you. DeAndre.
Aye.
All right, Mr. Polito.
Aye.
Mr. Nickerson,
Aye.
Miss Amory,
Aye.
Ms. Lavoisier,
Aye.
Mr. Nelson,
Aye.
Mr. Collins, aye. Thank you all so much. It was a great meeting.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a
Good
great
night.
rest of your night. Bye.